Hi guys, good morning. I hope you're having a fantastic day wherever you are. It's Hila here from Saturday Night Station. I just wanted to do another kind of life lately post. I've been fighting off a chest infection. I have asthma. I've always had asthma for all of my life. And if some of you remember from my Vlogmas, I was posting about how during winter when I get a cough, I really just have to stop, because normally when I get any form of a flu bug, it becomes bronchitis. And so my kids have been off of school for 2 weeks, and one of the reasons was that one of my daughters was coughing, and I must have caught it recently, and I've had a chest infection, but I haven't had a fever though. I've been keeping an eye on my temperature. I haven't had a fever that's gone over 38 degrees, so that's been good. But I've been having a lot of downtime, because for me, when I get bronchitis, I get like the tightness of the chest, the wheezing, shortness of breath, shallow breathing, and I can't do things for a really long time or anything like that. And of course, there's a lot of coughing, especially first thing in the morning. Hence why my voice kind of sounds a little bit croaky. But I feel like I'm on the mend. I've been using my inhalers. So as an asthmatic, I've got two inhalers. I've got a steroid inhaler, which is a preventer inhaler. It helps to reduce inflammation in the lungs, and the inflammation is dealing with whatever irritation the lungs are feeling. And then there's the reliever inhaler, which immediately relaxes my trachea and my airways whenever I'm struggling to breathe. So I've been using that daily. So I've been using my steroid inhaler, my preventer inhaler twice a day, and I've been using the reliever inhaler as and when. And at the moment, it's about 3 to 4 times a day, which is pretty normal when I've got bronchitis. Excuse me. So because of that, I've had a lot of downtime, which is why I decided to do this video. And because of my downtime, I've actually been watching a lot of TV, which is something that I normally don't do a lot of. I don't watch a lot of TV, mostly because I've got 5 kids and they tend to colonize the TV, either with the games consoles or they're watching their own TV shows that they like to watch. So I've been watching stuff on TV, and I wanted to talk about some of the stuff. So first of all, I binge watched Netflix's Next in Fashion, which is hosted by Alexa Chung and Tan France. Now, I have to admit, this is my first time watching a show that is similar to Project Runway from what I have gathered. I have watched a few seasons of the Great British Sewing Bee, but that's completely different, because I think the Sewing Bee focuses on amateurs, whereas with Next in Fashion, it focuses on people that are actually working in the industry. Okay, but that's not what I wanted to talk about. I'm going to talk about that in another video, because I watched all of the episodes of that one. So after I finished watching Next in Fashion, I was quite inspired, and I was like, let me check something else out. I tried to watch Project Runway because they had an older season on Netflix. I couldn't get into it. I don't know why. Maybe it just didn't work. But anyway, a couple of days later, I was browsing through Amazon Prime after I'd finished watching Outlander, because I'm a big fan of Outlander, and it's the only reason why I have Amazon Prime actually, because here in the UK, they put out the episodes every Monday, just after midnight. Actually, Sunday midnight, so it's early Monday, and then we have the latest episode. And that's why I actually got Prime. I got Prime when Outlander was being shown on Amazon Prime. So I finished watching that. So that was, today's Tuesday. So that was yesterday. And I was looking for something else to watch. And I noticed that there's a new Amazon show called Making the Cut. And it's got Heidi Klum, whom I'm familiar with because she used to be married to Seal. And I love Seal's music. And I was like, oh, isn't that guy sitting next to her the same guy who was hosting Project Runway? And I was like, oh, what's going on? So I did a quick search on Google, and then it turned out that Heidi Klum and this other guy, he wears a suit. I'm going to call him Vintage Suit Guy because he was wearing a suit. They used to do Project Runway. Now, I've never watched Project Runway. I did try to watch it after Next in Fashion because some episodes are on Netflix, but I don't have any experience at all, zero experience at all with watching Project Runway. So If I make any incorrect assumptions or offend any Project Runway fans out there, I do apologize in advance. Forgive me. I know not about Project Runway. So this is just my opinion, my impression from having watched Making the Cut after having watched Next in Fashion. Okay, so with Making the Cut, the premise is they're getting a bunch of designers, and these designers are already working in industry, and some of them even have their own shops. Like one of the women, she's had her shop open for 10 years now, and she's from Berlin, and they've made it international as well, which was just like in Next in Fashion. So one of the things that attracted me to Next in Fashion when I started watching was how international it was. And in this one, they have made it international, and they've got people from Italy, I think, and they've got somebody from Germany, somebody from Belgium, and other countries. There's so many of them. I kind of, lost a little bit of track. So it was quite interesting to see that they were involving professionals who already work in the industry. And one of the things that they said right off the bat was that this isn't a sewing competition. This is a fashion design competition. We're looking for the next biggest global fashion brand, and you don't have to sew. So they're actually assigned seamstresses to work for them, which was very, very interesting, because Next in Fashion, they didn't have any seamstresses. They had to do the sewing themselves. And so I was like, oh, okay, let's have a look at this. And we proceeded to watch it. And my impressions of that, the two hosts, Heidi and the other guy, they seem to have a good chemistry between them. But I know Heidi Klum more than I do the other guy. So obviously, I wanted to see more of Heidi rather than the other guy. And so when the other guy was going around and talking to them once they'd been given their brief about what they were doing, and they had to create a show, some pieces for a runway show, and they had to make one accessible look and one runway look. Yes, that's the other thing about the show as well. So apparently the show is set up such that whoever wins that particular episode, the designs that they made will be immediately available for purchase on the Amazon.com show. So I went to check after I finished watching episode 1, couldn't get them on Amazon UK. I saw some of them on Amazon.com, the American side, but most of them were already sold out. I don't know when it came out, so it might just be because I watched it late. So I thought that was a very interesting concept that, they're obviously making them available for people straight away and tapping into the desire not to miss out. And I was just like, I see you, Amazon, from a business perspective, what you're doing, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And if the idea is that whoever is going to become the next biggest fashion brand, because also the prize in the Amazon one is $1 million plus a mentorship. Next in Fashion, the price was only $250,000, of which, from a small business perspective, you can do a heck of a lot more with $1 million than you can with $250,000. Plus, the winner from the Amazon one will also get a mentorship, which is incredibly valuable. So there's a good chance that whoever comes out of the Amazon competition will become a huge global brand. And if you buy their designs at the early stages of the show, you're probably going to get great bargains, which in a few years' time, you'll be able to say, oh, I've got an original, whatever, and all that. And I was like, that's actually a brilliant way of tapping into people who do love fashion and who are into buying fashion brands. So that aside, as I was watching, it's a reality TV show, excuse me. It is a reality TV show. Absolutely. So there's a bit of drama, the way they react to things. It's kind of like, there's some scenes where when they find out that it's a design competition and that they're going to win $1 million, they go like, oh my, oh wow. I'm kind of like, I've got a fair bit of an idea of the process that people go through in order to be selected for some of these shows. And what is going to happen because you have to sign forms and all that. So I thought that was a little bit OTT in my own personal opinion. But hey, drama itself. So there was a little bit over the top, and I could tell straight away who was going to win from how much time they were focusing on that designer. Okay, it was kind of like, yeah, obviously they're trying to make it seem like she isn't going to win by setting up all, showing us all these obstacles that she has to go through. And she was actually an interesting case. So she was the one who was from Berlin, and she's actually already got her own brand and her own shop, which she's had for 10 years. So she's already been selling. But she was saying that she hasn't done much sewing over the last 15 years or so, that she has people who do the sewing for her, and she just comes up with the stuff. And as the designers, they had to come up with these things called tech packs, which they cut out the fabric and they write out the instructions with the drawing and the details of the design details for the seamstresses to then go and sew overnight. And then they come back in the morning and then they see this fully made up. And so for her, she had done this in traveling, and then she had been struggling to try and figure out the English terminologies for some of the sewing terms, like stitching the ditch. She didn't know how to say it in, I think for hers it was sewing the shadow, but she was trying to figure out how to, and and they were helping each other, which was really quite nice. So she didn't know how to sew, but then they spent a lot of time on her, and spoiler alert, which I did mention at the beginning, she ended up winning. Personally, I didn't like her stuff that much, but that's just a personal opinion. But anyway, the judges then, so then they do this runway show in Paris in front of the Eiffel Tower. And there's a lot of, I want to say, tourist porn. They're wonderful shots of Paris. And, I love Paris. I've been there several times. And, my heart was just like, going to miss Paris, because we're not able to actually do any traveling during this Corona lockdown. My husband just woke up. It's very early in the morning, so I thought I'd do this before the kids woke up. So anyway, so they have to do this catwalk, and there's a lot of Heidi and the other guy, Tom, I think. Yeah, they do a lot of talking, which I think was one of the weaknesses of the show. There was just too much talking from them. I kind of felt like I wanted to see the contestants more than the actual talking between the. And so the catwalk show is set up at night in front of the Eiffel Tower, and it's it's at night, and it's sort of outdoorsy. I mean, they did a good job with the lighting so that we could actually really see what was going on, but I kind of felt like it would have probably been better in a studio, personally speaking, and that's based from having watched Next in Fashion, where they were doing it inside a studio. Yeah, I mean, what if it had rained? What would they have had to do? But anyways, then we get introduced to the judges, who were, you had Naomi Campbell, the queen, and he had Nicole Richie, which I was quite surprised by. Now, I admit I have no idea what Nicole Richie has been up to. The last time I saw her was over a decade ago, when she used to do this, I can't remember, this reality TV show with that, what's the name of the daughter of those hoteliers, the one that always used to do the Paris Hilton, that's it. Her and Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie used to do a TV show. I can't even remember. Do you remember the name of the TV show? No, I can't remember. But it was a reality TV show, and it was, I think it was kind of like doing the whole, we are super rich little girls, and look at us trying to live like normal people. And I didn't like it. So I gotta say, I don't know what she has been up to since then. So I was a little bit surprised as to why I didn't realize that she did fashion, because I've certainly never remembered her, personally speaking, as a very fashionable person. And all, but maybe since they want accessible fashion that they can sell on Amazon, maybe that's where she comes in handy. I don't know. And then they also had Joseph Altazura of Altazura. I am a little bit familiar with Altazura via Pinterest. So I was like, okay, good, cool things. And then they had the former editor of Vogue. I cannot remember what her name is, but she's the former editor of Vogue. And those were the judges that were there. And so they did the catwalk, and you had the people ran over. The other guy, Tom, he was backstage with the designers. So he wasn't part of the judging panel, which I found confusing, because there was one thing I didn't like about his interaction with the designers in the workroom, because he came in when they were working, And, as you do when you're a creative and you're deeply focused on what you're doing, you appreciate somebody rocking up and saying, so tell me about what is going on. And, break your flow. But hey, it's a TV show, reality TV show. It's got to make money somehow. But so the designers were telling him what they were doing. And in some cases, they'd already made something up. And then he would do like I wouldn't do that if I were you. I would add this, I would do this and all that. And I just felt like, these are designers. These are not amateurs. They haven't asked your opinion on this. These are people who have got their own fashion houses. They've shown their clothes at some fashion shows. They are creatives in their own right. They are artists. And then you're kind of telling them that, you shouldn't be doing it like this. You shouldn't be doing it like this. Because I think most people know that fashion is a little bit objective. It's more of a person. It's not objective is what I meant to say. It's quite subjective, and it's it's a little bit more of a personal opinion. So I did feel I didn't quite like that. Now, in Next in Fashion, they did have Tan France was the biggest offender in Next in Fashion with that, but he never went to the same levels that this Tom guy did. I don't know. I should actually do some research into him. Like, does he have a design house? Is he a fashion designer himself or anything like that? Maybe he might very well, but I can't imagine. I can't imagine how that would feel like as a person if I have created something that I think is worthy of winning me $1 million. Obviously, I'm not thinking that this isn't going to be, good enough. And the other thing is, it's constantly being emphasized that we want to see you, who you are as the designer. And I kind of feel like then one of the judges, one of the show hosts then telling them that, maybe change it to this because that's what he likes. I thought that was a bit iffy. And thankfully, one of the designers that he did that to, she just stuck to her guns because she was like, you know what? This is what makes me happy. I love this. I absolutely love this dress and I'll stand by it and I'll just put it in just like that. And I respected that. I actually respected that. In a way, but that's just a personal opinion of mine. I think as artists who are part of a competition, because you gotta think, well, what if she'd followed his advice, right, and changed the color like he'd said, and then the judges were like, we just didn't like the color combination, and then it's kind of like, well, why did you? So yeah, it was it's quite interesting. And so they do the catwalk, and they spent with the judges. They spent a lot of time showing us Naomi's face, and Naomi, she shoots. She's a straight shooter. There is no, she doesn't care about your feelings. She will tell you how she sees things, which I love that about Naomi. And they were just going, and she wasn't like smiling or anything like that. That's another criticism I have about the show as well. I think that they spend far too much time on Naomi as a judge. And it'll be quite interesting to see how that will pan out going forward. Okay, and then they do this really weird thing, right? So they do the show at night, and then it's the next day in the studio where they meet up with the judges. And then the judges call forward a person, and then they're like, tell us about your collection. And then she says, this is da-da-da-da-da and all that. And then they ask a few more probing questions. And then Heidi Klum goes like, judges, I just need to ask you, have you changed your mind? And then they take the longest time panning in on each judge's face. And each judge goes, they do this face where they're like, no. Like, dude, you could have just said no, And so they do that with every single person. And then just like that, the X drops, and then they're like, sorry, you're not making the cut, right? And then they cut. And granted, the designer who went out first, one of her dresses was basically like sheer lace curtains just draped over, and effectively you would be naked if you were wearing that dress that she designed, her runway look. And the thing is, right, for me, what didn't match up about her look was that she did like a size inclusive range. That her brand is all about size inclusivity. and all. And one of the models that she did for the dresses was a plus size model. And then for this dress that she made, I don't think even like your size 0 models would want to wear that because you're literally naked. You could see all the way up to the thigh and it was sheer. And it was just kind of like nobody would want to wear that. And this is lingerie, but that was just my one. So I felt like there was an incongruency there, which is quite interesting because in Next in Fashion, they did have a designer who actually was really good at making plus size stuff, including lingerie. And it was because he used to make stuff for his sisters. And he was like, my sisters were on big bone, and he was really good. And you could see that he had, designed his clothes to fit a wide range of sizes. So I think that, so she just, and it came out of nowhere. There wasn't any preamble about it. It was just boom. Now, during this session as well, the top guy, he was sitting with the designers and not with the judges, which comes back again to why is he interfering with the visions of the designers? That just rankled me the wrong way. But anyway, so then they called up the next person over, and, they made it seem like she was going to go because then Naomi was like, I didn't like it. It was unfinished, brutal, straight to the point. And she was just there looking like a wilting plant, ready to go. And then they say, you made the cut, as Heidi says in her lovely Germanic accent. And then so she didn't get to go. And then they called another person over and they were like, we really loved your stuff. We didn't. And then they called the last person over, who was that woman who her stuff hadn't been translated correctly because she didn't know how to write instructions for the seamstresses and that. And then she won. And I'm like, oh yeah, that was no surprise for me at all that she won because they spent so much time showing us her drama, And I personally didn't think that was one of the best. It was very hard to kind of like judge because they have to do an accessible look and a runway look. Now, I don't understand what accessible look means. Is that to insinuate that fashion isn't accessible? Or are they supposed to do like a ready to wear? So I think that, and most of these designers, as far as I could tell from when they were doing, as they do with reality TV shows, they show you little clips about each person and what they're into. None of these designers seemed to be doing a lot of what I like to call day-to-day wear stuff that I would look at and think about buying, although I would never buy because I hate shopping. And most of them, I don't get the impression that that's their strength, creating looks that would appeal to somebody who has to rock up for, their job at TGIFs or something like that. So I did find that confusing. And I kind of think that that's one of the weaknesses of the show for me. Like they should have just stuck with either looking for designers that are going to be the next big runway fashion thingies or designers that are just going to be the next big pattern cutters to create the next big global high street fashion brand rather than haute couture house. So I think that is the confusion that I personally have. But maybe as this show goes on, I will get more. But I plan on watching more of the show because I've got a lot more downtime coming up. Normally when I get bronchitis, it's a good about 3 to 4 weeks before it clears. So I'm in super quarantine at the moment. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Have you watched Making the Cut? If you have, let me know your thoughts in the box down below. Do you think that the right person won this episode? And I'll see you next time when I review episode 2, which I hope to be watching in the next few days or so. Until next time, take care and stay safe. Bye.